My name is Debbie, and I'm speaking to you straight from the Quick Artist Search Studios at Sassy Radio. I'm a producer, and you know what time it is? It is time for the lion to tell a story. Tune in and don't go anywhere.
Was that we have to create jobs
Yes.
in Africa. We can't go, like, it's cool to take all of your money that you made in the West and to go and establish yourself and you know, and I'm not knocking anyone that's going to retire because they deserve it, you know, but I'm of that younger generation that I'm not quite in retirement age, and I feel like we need to go create jobs because that's the only way that you can really say that you're really doing something for the continent. And really, so the first time I went to Africa was actually Waleti and I went to Ethiopia.
That was your first trip? Okay.
That was my first trip to Africa. Was that 2013 or 2014?
That was one of my favorite pictures. There's a picture of you and Mama Waleti in Ethiopia. That
she's in a purple and in the green. Yeah,
that's like a postcard picture.
Yeah, so we went. I was excited because I wanted to get to Addis to still be there for the 50th anniversary of the AU or the OAU, and so it was within the same year, but it wasn't during the big celebrations. And then Mama Desta had the Man in the Millennium, and so I was also going there to support her in that effort. Or
Dr. Desta.
Yes, and so that was my first time, and so I didn't have so my first place landing and getting on the actual soil was in Ethiopia. And this is before they opened up the new highway that goes, passes the Debrecen and goes straight into Shashamani. And so Dawn got picked up by Ras Tafari, and I'm so sorry, I forgot our driver's name. I forgot his name, but I still have his contact. And he drove us, and he jumped they paid a little fine, a little fee, and they opened up the closed highway for us to get to Shashamani. So that was the first place. I was also blessed to meet Papa Wolf, Solomon Wolf, before he transitioned, and got to sit with him, and he was, his famous line is like, it's better to obey than to sacrifice. Yeah. So that is and I have been obeying in terms, like, everything I do is really geared towards how am I going to help put my resources towards repatriation or towards our, us. Yeah, towards repatriation.
What year was that?
I believe it was 2013, 2014. Yeah, you probably can gauge it by how old Isaac is, because Mama Waleti, remember, she tells a story about touching the water.
I didn't get that
in Lalibela. And she was like, there's a pool in Lalibela that when we were going through, our tour guide said that, the women would come and bathe in this pool in order to get fertile. So Mama Waleti was like, come on, let's go and bathe. And I was like, me being a water engineer, I'm looking at this water, I'm like, I see this algae growth on it. I'm like, I'm not going to put myself in that water. But I think Mama Waleti did touch the water, and that's why we have Dawit.
The prophet.
Yes, so that was my first time. And I would say going to Lalibela was probably the most profound thing for me, because the energy and the vibration there is just so full. Like you're here where centuries, people have just sat and prayed. And most of the time, when people are praying in these spaces, they're praying for good things. So you have all this good energy. So my mind was like, I was writing all this stuff. I had all these concepts, all these ideas. Unfortunately, I lost my book, but it doesn't matter because they came out. All of those things came. I was also miraculously, so I wanted to get to the AU, but I had, you have to have access to get to the AU. So Nana Faraika had tried to get me in contact with some people, and it didn't really fall through. But on this tour to Lalibela, the next day, the same tour guide that I had, he was touring another person, and that next person that he was touring happened to work at the AU. Oh, wow. And so he was able to give me the number to the secretary of the person I was trying to reach, and I was able to get myself and Mama Waleti into the AU.
Wow.
So that was my most so that was that. And then I did not get back to Africa again until I want to say 2016 2016 or 2015. I wanted to get there. Yeah, it was 2015 because I wanted to get there on my 40th year when I turned 40, and I had gotten to a work injury and I didn't want to like try to go to Africa on a bum knee. So 2015 was the first time I went to Ghana, and Salt Pond was the first place that I went, and I did feel at home. I didn't have that feeling when I was in Ethiopia, although...
Okay, so Salt Pond, you said it felt like home, different than Ethiopia.
Yes.
How did you become the Queen Mother of Salt Pond?
So again, I'm an engineer, and then the thing is too, when you visit, as you know, when you visit a place, they're like, okay, there's somebody new in here. So who is this person? So I actually had access to the chiefs of the town from the very first time I stepped into Salt Pond, and there was a, I don't know what possessed me to write this little synopsis of like the things that I saw and like an outline of what I wanted, what I would do if I was a part of this community, and it, you know, and so I wrote this down and I gave it to the chiefs, and they were like, so they asked me from the first time I stepped foot in the area that they wanted me to be Queen Mother, and I was like, no thank you, thanks but no thank you. And so I continued to go to the town.
And there's a Rastafari community in town.
There is, yeah. And they had tried to build a tabernacle on the beach, which they did, and then, you know, they lost it. But yeah, there is a pretty strong Rastafari community there, and then not in the town proper, but even some of the other towns that are close by. And so I declined, and then I said, well, when I thought about my businesses again, Asli Pure was created for me to be a philanthropist, and in the philanthropy, I was really focused on, and even having money to fund Rastafari, because again, yes, it would be great to be able to get our reparations, what's due to us, but in the interim, while we don't have those access to those funds, we still have to build. And so I was like, what better way than to, you know, ideally I would like Asli Pure to be a B corporation like Newman O's, and be able to funnel that. I'm trying to find the wording that would make me accepted into the B corporation paradigm, because that's a whole network on its own. So so once I accepted the position, I figured, you know, with me wanting to have my business manufactured in Ghana, because one of the things that when I go, and even when I went to Ethiopia, the idea sparked there was that we have to create jobs in Africa. We can't go, like, it's cool to take all of your money that you made in the West and to go and establish yourself, and you know, and I'm not knocking anyone that's going to retire, because they deserve it, you know, but I'm of that younger generation that I'm not quite in retirement age, and I feel like we need to go create jobs, because that's the only way that you can really say that you're really doing something for the continent. And really, again, you have to understand, just the parochial school system in some of these places are substandard. You know, so unless your family comes from a middle class area, you have a means to pay for your children to go to school, their knowledge based on, you know, how to survive, not only survive, or how to thrive even within their own community is not there. So we have to go in there and show them like what we know, what we've learned from being on this side, like political stuff, even health wise, you know, because again, our traditional diets are shifting because of the importation of rice and flour and all these different things that are great to the palate, but they don't work well on the African body.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of diabetes, different hypertension, and different things that weren't there traditionally. Also the shift, because we're not doing as much manual labor anymore. Right. People have office jobs, but they're eating the field, you know, diet, and the food, you know, on a starch land, you know. So if you're not working hard to burn off all that sugar, that starch is all turning into sugar, right, you know, which is causing problems. So we really have to, again, look at our differences and come together, because when you look at like, for instance, I heard this listening to a Ghana forum, and there was the ambassador to Israel in Ghana, and she was talking about
how, Israel is a desert, but Israel became Israel because of everyone who was of Jewish descent pouring money into the state, so they have an apparatus that can pull water out the atmosphere so they can farm. And so these are the things that we have to do.
I'm glad that you have shared all of this. Again, this is just going to be a part one. Well, this has been a pleasure, going through the history. This is just going to be the part one because we've gone through so much, but we haven't even scratched the surface of who the I is, of the works. We just kind of touch and go, but there's so much layers. But I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Lion Voice for being here. You're only my second female visitor, so you'll always be in the history book. Again, over 20 years, I've seen your children grow up. I've seen the I grow, and I said it jokingly at the beginning of the episode, but I meant that the I really is the inspiration. The I in terms of the work ethic and just how the I execute on things that you say. And I think it's a great example for our younger sistren to see how you can be, and you always dress royal. This is not just for Lion Voice, but unfortunately this is just Mama Thea. So it's a blessing and a joy to have that journey, and it's also great to know that the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story.
Absolutely.
Because this is the Lion Voice.
Lion Voice.
It's also great to know that the time has come for the Lions to tell our own story.
Absolutely.
Because this is the Lion Voice.
Lion Voice. Well, great is the Almighty, and greatly to be praised in the city of Haile Selassie I, the mountain of His holiness.
Yeah, from Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, the whole entire continent.
Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, from Accra to Addis Ababa.
Yes, it's a beautiful continent, better control, Mama Africa.
Very beautiful.
From Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, I smile for Mama.
I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long since I see Mama. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw. We gonna use solar energy, use sanitation to build the ecology. We utilizing green technology. We hailing Haile Selassie first without apology. And then we build the youths them economy. We dismantle Babylon monopoly. We teach the youths them how to live properly. Tell them make sure them got the title for them property.
Yes, this beautiful continent, better control, Mama Africa. From Cape to Cairo, from Timbuktu to the Nile, I smile for Mama Africa.
I love you, Mama. Your heart never harden. I wanna turn all your slums into garden. I wanna stop all of your youths from starving. I wanna stop all of your tribes from warring. So much to say, so many feelings. We both been hurt, we both need healing. Since the League of Nations you've been appealing. You stand up against them backdoor dealing. And I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long since I see Mama. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw. Then I hear you call Mama Africa. Been so long in America. Father of Africa set the law. The lion come and dismantle Babylon flaw.
So be still, all enemies of Jah. Know that He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the Lion Conqueror. And it was said of Ethiopia, the highest himself shall establish her. His Majesty was born there.
I that I love you so. There's no place that I'd rather go. Tired of walking through slush and snow. Repatriation, that's a must I know.
Yes, into this beautiful continent.